There's several Sun Devils ready to break out in 2024, but these three in particular have my attention.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Make sure that you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows. Stay in touch by following me on Twitter, RichieBrads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. I appreciate you guys, and if you have not hit subscribe on YouTube yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 1,000 followers here pretty darn soon. We have 858 as of now. You guys have been crazy. We've added almost 100 followers just over the last month, so I know that we can get to 1,000 very soon. And of course, once we get there, we're going to find a way to celebrate together as a channel. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. The sports aren't sporting like we want them to right now, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And today we are going to be talking some breakouts for the Sun Devils, both sides of the football. I have three that I want to mention by name, and I have three that I want to break down, and I have five more that I think are going to be in for big seasons. And we'll go ahead and start with the five honorable mentions. First one, Leif Fotanu at center. Now, he was one of the more consistent players last year for the Sun Devils, not just from a play standpoint, but he was also one of the healthier players on the team. Very reliable, very good, very high floor player. He's going to be going into his final season of college football unless he has a secret year that I'm not 100% sure of. I'm pretty sure this is his last year. I'm thinking he's going to be able to break out this year. The Sun Devils offensive line we are predicting is going to be a lot better than they were last year. We're assuming that the depth is going to really showcase itself this year. There's young guys, there's veteran guys, there's guys returning from injury who all should be able to really elevate the play that you had last year. But Leif Fotanu coming back as one of the guys who played well last year, who was able to stay on the field last year, I'm thinking he's going to break out this year, and I think it's going to be in a big way. Here's hoping he can end up being an all-conference player by the end of the year. Next guy I want to mention, Xavier Alford. I've been on the Alford train for a long time. He is a ball hawking machine. He's someone that just finds and flies to wherever the football is. Like, you always find number two somewhere around the ball, whether it's near the line of scrimmage or deep or whatever, left side, right side, center field. I don't care. He's going to be right there for it. And after having to sit out last year due to the two-time transfer eligibility policy that the NCAA wanted to flex on him, I'm thinking this is going to be a really good year for Xavier Alford to really stand out and put together a complete season and show off why he was one of the players that ASU was so excited to get last year through the transfer portal. Another guy I want to mention on the defensive side of the football, Tate Romney. Tate Romney absolutely surprised me last year. Redshirt freshman a year ago, transfer from BYU, local kid. I think he was from Scottsdale. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my name. He came into last year looking at a linebacker position that was going through a lot of transition. You were bringing in Trey Brown from Washington State. He was going to take one of your two starting roles. But ASU had to replace Kyle Soley and Merlin Robertson and Connor Soley as well. They had some guys currently on the roster with Will Schaefer, who transferred midseason, and Caleb McCullough, who had an opportunity to seize a big-time role with the team after being a part-time player. They brought in lots of guys. Crew Jackson was another player who came in through the transfer portal. They had some young guys like Kavion Thunderbird that were competing as well. There was a lot of depth at the linebacker spot. And yet he stood out in a big way. He was one of the 5 leading tacklers on the team. He was able to, I think he had just a 1 fumble recovery for what it's worth. It was the first turnover of the year. And he was just a very good football player. I'm thinking going into year 2, it's not quite one of those like he's guaranteed a spot, but you feel pretty good that he's going to be able to hold down a number 1 spot for the team. He's in for a big year. I don't know if that's going to look like turnovers and tackles, but he's going to be one of those guys that we hear about on a week-to-week basis. Another defender I want to mention, CJ Fite. If you listen to this podcast, you know I'm a fan of CJ Fite. He's big, massive, strong dude playing from the interior. I'm not sure if he's going to play more 3-tech or nose tackle this year. I don't think it's going to matter. He was a really good freshman for the team last year. Due to injuries, he was put in the lineup, and then you just couldn't take him out. He anchors the run game. He's someone that's able to take on double teams, and he makes life easier for everyone around him. He's been working on his pass rushing skills. He could potentially break out as a sack guy this year. And I'm not saying he's going to be double-digit, but he could get 3, 4, 5 sacks from the interior, which is pretty darn good. He's got high expectations for himself. I'm excited to see what he can put together now as a true sophomore. Finally, the last honorable mention here is Chamon Metayer, the tight end who is coming in from Cincinnati, who has stood out in practice all week long. And by week, I mean the first training camp and then last week at Camp Tonto Zona. So the 2 weeks that he has been on the field, he has really stood out. He looks like your number 1 tight end. He looks like someone who could be a red zone threat for you. Let's talk about my 3 breakout players now. And these 3, I will go on a limb and say I would not be surprised if they were all conference players. I would not be surprised if they ended up being the best players at their respective positions. I would not be surprised if these end up being players that could leave early. Fun fact, all 3 of these guys are eligible to enter the 2025 NFL draft. So a big season could end up seeing them go in that direction. We'll start with wide receiver Jordyn Tyson. Tyson is ready to become a star. He's got a little bit of everything. He's got size. He's got lots of speed. He's got lots of playmaking ability. He's able to climb the ladder and get the high balls. You're able to get the ball to him behind the line of scrimmage. You just put the ball in his hand and magic is going to happen. Jordyn Tyson is a special football player. He's someone that once the ball is in his hands, you feel like anything is possible. He's got special teams prowess too. This is a player that had a 84-yard punt return against ASU 2 years ago when he was at Colorado. He had a 50-yard touchdown against ASU. He had another 80-yard touchdown that year. It's just a big play waiting to happen. Having him on special teams for an ASU team that is looking for a standout, they got a handful of options. Melkon Stovall is going to get first dibs. You have Raleek Brown is back there as well, but Jordyn Tyson could be your ace in the hole as a punt returner this year. And I'm really excited to see what he can do as a special teamer. But you need a new number 1 receiver. Elijah Badger is gone. The good news is Troy O'Mary is back. And O'Mary is someone that I think in his own right is going to break out this year. I would not be surprised if O'Mary led the Sun Devils in touchdowns. Not just receiving touchdowns, in touchdowns, period. Would not be surprised. He is a high ceiling player. I just look at Jordyn Tyson as a little bit more explosive, as someone that can do a little bit more than O'Mary. And that's not a slight at O'Mary, who I am telling you is one of the best kept secrets on this team. But I do look at Jordyn Tyson as someone that could absolutely light up the league. Someone that could catch defenses sleeping if they're not careful. And he's wearing number 0. Number 0 is pretty clean for any player. Jordyn Tyson is also inheriting a very important role with the team. Not just potentially as wide receiver 1, but as one of the starting receivers that ASU is dying to have for a brand new quarterbacking situation. Jaden Rashada is gone. Drew Pine is gone. Jacob Conover is gone. 3 of the 4 quarterbacks that you had a year ago are gone. The returner is Trenton Bourguet. You bring in Jeff Sims very recently. You bring in Sam Levitt through the transfer portal from Michigan State. You have some young walk-on guys as well. Navi Bruzan is the one who stands out the most. There's options at quarterback, but there's a lot of change that's going on. And ASU is going to need to have some kind of pillars of strength here in order to make life a little bit easier for these quarterbacks as they transition to a new role with the team, to a starting role with the team, to a leader of the offense role at the quarterback position. So they need an ace in the passing game. And Jordyn Tyson could be that ace. Again, just put the ball in his hands, and he allows you to do a little bit of everything as a deep receiver, shallow and underneath. And if he becomes a route running savant, he can hurt you over the middle of the field too. There's a lot of possibilities here. And I would also tell you that I don't think there's a ton of expectations on Jordyn Tyson. And that's one of the reasons why I think he could break out so big. Of the Sun Devils on this team who have big expectations, I feel like it's Cameron Scadaboo, maybe Lee Fotanu or Ben Coleman. Defensively, one of the guys we'll talk about a little bit later, I could see like Keyshawn Elliott could be on there. But I don't think that Jordyn Tyson has major expectations that are being placed on him, which is going to allow him to blow everyone away. There's definitely people who know who he is, but the casual fan is not going to be familiar with Jordyn Tyson, which is why when he turns it on this year and you see him making those big plays and you're like, hey, who's number 0? He just had a 30-yard reception and put us in the field goal range. I want to know who that guy is. It's going to be Jordyn Tyson. He's going to put on a show and a spectacle this year. He is a special play and a big play waiting to happen at any given moment. Very, very, very exciting on the offensive side of the football. Having someone like that is going to be able to unlock the rest of the offense for you as well. You could have a much better run game. You could turn him into one of your quick catch receivers, so ball's out within 2 seconds, and he gets to do whatever he wants after that. He could be able to unlock a few things for you that allows you to be a balanced offense. Having somebody like that is going to be so pivotal for success this year, and I think that Jordyn Tyson has the best chance at the wide receiver position to do so, and I think he's one of the best candidates to be a big-time breakout for the Sun Devils. He's not the only guy on offense, though, that I'm keeping an eye out on as a potential breakout for the Sun Devils this year. We're going to talk about that player in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But right now, we don't have any playoffs, and there's fewer games. The sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets whenever I'm in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thanks for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. I want you guys to go ahead and check out the Locked On College Football podcast as well. Good friend of mine, Spencer McLaughlin, is getting you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussion on the upcoming season and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football expanded playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's get back into our conversation now and take a look at the next player that I have. And we're staying on the offensive side of the football. We're looking at the running back position, and it's not who you think it is. We'll talk about Cameron Scadaboo. But my potential breakout, someone that I have not given enough love to on this show, and that is no longer going to be the case. He is going to be one of the new darlings of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. Let me introduce you to Altn McCaskill. McCaskill is transferring into Arizona State. He was previously at Colorado for a year. He ended up redshirting because he was still recovering from a serious knee injury that he sustained prior at Houston. So this is his third team. He is presumably 100% healthy and hopefully has the confidence to play on that knee again. Typically, you have guys that'll tear something significant in their knee or anywhere else, and they end up needing more time, not just to recover, but to also have the confidence that it's going to hold up and they don't need to worry about re-aggravating an injury. That typically takes another year, which is why more often than not, you will see guys play better the second year removed from a serious knee injury compared to their first year. Well, Altn McCaskill has had 2 years now to be able to build back that confidence. I think he appeared in like one game for Colorado last year coming off an ACL tear. Was not ready. He's now ready. And similar to Jordyn Tyson and some of the other guys that we've mentioned, he's just someone that we talk about every single week. I have heard glowing reviews about Altn McCaskill from some of my peers and other people who go to the camp. I have seen the highlight reel of him at Houston. He's an exciting player. He was the newcomer of the year in the then AAC before they transitioned over to the Big 12. I want to say it was 16 or 18 touchdowns. He was just shy of 1,000 rushing yards. This dude is the truth. He is as explosive a running back as the Sun Devils have seen. Now, they have plenty of good running backs. Cameron Scannaboo is the talk of the town, and he should be the people's running back, as we like to call him here on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, because he does everything. He catches it, he runs it, he punts it, he passes it. He's the people's guy. He does everything that we want him to do. He is the undisputed running back one on this team, and it should not be a surprise that he's got some high expectations. There are expectations that he's going to be better than he was a year ago. He hopefully will be able to hit that 1,000-yard mark. He hit 10 touchdowns last year. Here's hoping he can do it again. That being said, the depth at running back this year is going to allow the Sun Devils to spare Cam Scannaboo a little bit and not run him into the ground. Last year, ASU didn't really have the luxury of taking their time with Scannaboo. The Carlos Brooks went down to injury. Kyson Brown was a freshman. They were trying to get him involved and comfortable with the rushing attack. There was not a lot to really build that confidence on. Going into this year, you feel really good about your depth. Brooks is back. Kyson Brown is back. Altn McCaskill is coming in through the transfer portal. Relief Brown is coming in through the transfer portal. Jason Brown is an incoming 4-star freshman. There's depth at running back. I've said this before on the podcast. You could start any of those 6 guys, and you'd feel confident about your running game. Well, Scannaboo is going to be your starter this year. But with that being said, he's going to be able to stay fresh because ASU, in theory, should be able to split carries. Unless Scannaboo ends up becoming a Heisman Trophy candidate, he is going to not see a full-time role for the team. He's not going to get 100% of the touches every single game. They're going to be able to put him in for, first down, second down, and then third down, let's switch it up, and we'll throw Relief Brown in there. And then Scannaboo carries the ball 4 straight times. And then they throw in McCaskill to give him a break, give him a breather. It's a great situation that the Sun Devils have. We talked about that offensive line too, and hopefully they take that step forward. If everything culminates together for you, the run game should be dynamic. And Altn McCaskill could be one of the biggest beneficiaries here. He is going to be a redshirt sophomore. He is somebody who has already displayed high-level capability during his time at Houston. If he is 100% confident in himself, and all signs point to him being exactly that, and if he is 100% ready to go from a injury standpoint, and he's completely healthy, no worries attached to him, he, as someone that I talked to put it, could be the best running back on this roster. I'm not quite ready to get to that point, but I do think that you could potentially see him end up being one of your more consistent running backs and someone that is pretty darn explosive. If he gets to his ceiling, this is a watch out for him kind of player. This is a secret weapon, if you will. There's not a lot of teams that are going to be going into the season that are going to take a look at Altn McCaskill and go, yeah, we got a game plan for him every week. That's not going to be the case unless he really takes off. And there's a chance that he does. I'm still not ready to say Scadaboo will be usurped of the starting role by the end of the year. What I've said before is you could see him end up turning into a 50-50 role. I've talked about that with Raleek Brown previously. I'm ready to talk about it as Altn McCaskill now. He's someone that I'm really excited about. But there is one more player that I want to mention on the defensive side of the football, someone that I think could end up being an absolute terror for opposing quarterbacks in 2024. We'll talk about him right now. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Passion, drive, patience. The winning championship formula is what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle leveled up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And the eBay Guaranteed Fit means that your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. All the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. One more time, wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you're getting them. If you have not hit subscribe on YouTube yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and help us get to 1,000 subscribers sooner rather than later, and we will find a way to celebrate together as a channel. One last guy that I think is going to be a breakout this year. If you listen to this podcast, you know who it is. This is, in my opinion, arguably the highest ceiling player on this team. I don't know that there is another player on the Sun Devils, offensively, defensively, special teams, that has the capability to become a transcendent superstar the way that this guy does. And that, of course, is pass rusher Clayton Smith. You listen to this podcast, you've heard his name more than a handful of times. Clayton Smith is ridiculous. I have met him in person. You stand next to him, you feel small. He played last year, I would guess around 230 or so. He has put on probably about 15 pounds of muscle. He is playing a lot closer to 250 than he is 230 now. And I believe he's 6'3", maybe a little bit taller. I'm not sure what his college height is. He's also really fast. He's also really explosive. And with the weight he's putting on, he's only getting stronger at the point of attack. Last year, the Sun Devils had a great rotation off of the edge between Clayton Smith, BJ Green, and Prince Dorbah. Those three generated 16 and a half sacks for you. Doesn't get much better than that. Unfortunately, BJ Green has transferred. He is now with the Colorado Buffaloes. Prince Dorbah is back. I believe that he's going to be around what he was last year. He was great in the first half and then kind of schemed out in the second half. I'm not sure if he was banged up or if teams just started game planning for him a little bit better. I feel like he's going to be in for a much more consistent season this year. Clayton Smith was the opposite. He absolutely exploded in the last month of the season, and he felt unstoppable off the edge. Part of the reason for that is he was playing closer to 100% healthy. He was banged up for the majority of last year. I want to say he was helped off the field 3 different occasions. It's hard to be a dynamic player when you're nicked up all the time. It's going to be the case for anybody, not just Clayton Smith. Now that he is 100% healthy and he's growing into his body more to become the explosive, athletic, dynamic pass rusher that he has the capability of being, this could be the year that everything comes together. Going into his redshirt junior year, he's ready to arrive. He's one of the players on the defensive side of the football that I believe in my heart of hearts could end up being a superstar for you. I already said, and I'll say it again, I'll echo it. I don't know that the Sun Devils have another player on this football team, this current team, either side of the football, that has the ceiling that Clayton Smith has. This is such an exciting player. And this ball of clay that you can mold into something spectacular. You saw the flashes of it last year, and he ended the year hot. Of his 4.5 sacks, 3.5 of them came in the last month of the season. He's shown it. As long as he stays healthy, and that's a caveat for anyone, I understand, but as long as he stays healthy, I just don't know that there's anything that's going to hold him back. He's truly just so gifted that it'd be hard to screw it up. It would be hard to not get the most out of Clayton Smith. He's also going to have guys around him that are going to make his life easier. Prince Dorma is back. He had 6 sacks last year. He should be in that ballpark once again. He is someone that should 100% make life easier for Clayton Smith. There's going to be 2 threats off of the edge. You can't just dial in on one guy because the other one might beat you. He's got CJ Fite on the inside who's going to be taking on double teams. They've got several other defensive tackles I'm excited about. Jacob Richcon-Gaika, Jeff Clark. There's guys that are going to take on double teams and are going to leave Clayton Smith with one-on-one opportunities, whether it's the left or the right side. He's going to get those looks, and teams are going to be too busy trying to figure out how to slow down him or Prince Dorba or anything else that Clayton Smith should be able to rack in the opportunities. ASU also really valued having a third edge rusher last year. I've said before in this podcast, Elijah O'Neal is someone that could end up being a really good player for them this year. He was one of the guys I wanted to put in my honorable mentions, but I already had 5, and I didn't want to turn it into like a 10-person list. I'm big on Elijah O'Neal this year. If he is able to slide into that role as their third pass rusher, that just means Clayton is going to stay. He's going to stay healthy. He's going to stay, fresh. And he's not going to be tired. He's not going to be beat up. He's going to be consistently ready to go. That's going to lead him a lot of opportunities to lead this team in sacks. He told me his goal is to get to 10 sacks this year. That feels incredibly attainable for him. 4.5 last year when he wasn't even 100% ready to go. 4.5 last year when he hadn't grown into his body completely. 4.5 last year in a reserve role. We can probably double that. Feel pretty confident about it. Now you have somebody who is ready from a mentality standpoint to take that step forward. He is building up the physicality, and he's already got the pure God-given athleticism. Everything is there, and all the stars are aligning for Clayton Smith to become a big-time breakout for the Sun Devils this year. That's why he is one of the 3 biggest breakouts for me this year, along with wide receiver Jordyn Tyson and running back Altn McCaskill, all of whom I think could end up challenging for all conference players by the end of the year. Who are the guys you're most excited about? Who do you think is going to be a big-time breakout for the team this year? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36 or the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Again, guys, you're the best for tuning in. If you have not hit subscribe on YouTube yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and help us get to 1,000 subscribers. hopefully before the season starts, but I am just really looking forward to continuing to grow this channel with you guys. We'll find a way to celebrate when we do hit that milestone. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more talk about the Sun Devils. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.